Somewhere in the California desert, a police officer pulls over a lurching 1964 Chevrolet Malibu. He interrogates the driver, walks to the back, and opens the trunk. In a flash of blinding light, the cop is gone, vaporized. All that remains is a pair of smouldering leather boots. Those boots are an immediate homage to executive producer Michael Nesmith's previous film, Time Rider. And that explosive start is just the introduction to one of the most chaotic and bizarre productions we have ever covered. Welcome back to Golden Flicker. Today we're diving into the radioactive history of 1984's Repo Man. This is a film that defies every rule in the Hollywood playbook. This production featured aliens made of condoms, characters named after beers, only one production car which was stolen days into filming, then recovered, then crashed into a gas pump by an actor who couldn't drive stick shift. A finale that almost featured Muhammad Ali, but was ultimately rewritten at the last minute because of a dense layer of fog and a lack of cash. This is just a preview of the chaos that swirled around this production. Before we open the trunk, I want to know, have you ever watched this movie? Did you know the production was chaotic? Let me know in the comments. In the early 1980s, Alex Cox was a 29-year-old British Fulbright scholar at UCLA Film School. He had no money, no car, and no connections in Hollywood. What he did have was a neighbour whose roommate worked as a car repossessor. The guy's name was Mark Lewis. Cox started riding along with him on late-night runs through the streets of Los Angeles. If they found a car, Cox would get paid $20 to drive the repossessed vehicle back to the yard. Cox thought, there's a film in this. He teamed up with fellow UCLA students Peter McCarthy and Jonathan Wax to form a production company. They called it Edge City Productions and set up shop in a tiny Venice Beach office that cost $200 a month. Cox slept on a mattress in the back. The script they developed combined three different sources: a story about punk kids written by actor Dick Rude, dialogue Cox had collected from the real Repo Man, Mark Lewis, and elements from an earlier apocalyptic script called The Hot Club. Edge City bought the completed screenplay from Cox for $1. Their original budget was $120,000. The plan was to shoot it as a UCLA student film, so they could use the equipment for free. They sent hundreds of letters to studios and production companies and got no responses. The problem was the pitch. How do you sell a movie that's, in Dick Rude's words, punk rock meets science fiction in Ronald Reagan's house? Cox drew a comic book treatment to help people visualize what he was going for. That comic eventually landed on the desk of Michael Nesmith, the former Monkey. Nesmith had just produced Time Rider and was looking for new projects. After seeing Cox's drawings and reading the first scene, his response was simple: I'll do this. Here's where it gets interesting. Nesmith sent the script to Universal. They rejected it. But fate intervened. Nesmith went out for drinks with a potential manager. At the bar, they spotted Bob Ramey, the head of Universal. The manager called out to him, "Hey Bob, Michael here has a great script, and you guys turned it down." The next day, Nesmith got a disgruntled call from a Universal executive saying, quote, "Oh, I guess we're doing Repo Man." The budget jumped from $120,000 to $1.5 million. A punk film about Reagan-era alienation was now being financed by a major Hollywood studio. And the studio wanted stars. The filmmakers wanted authenticity. What followed was a series of near misses and strange compromises. The first choice to play Bud, the veteran Repo Man, was Dennis Hopper. He wanted the role. but his asking price was around $500,000, way beyond what they could afford. So they turned to Harry Dean Stanton. But his agent said, "You don't want to work with Harry Dean. He's past it. You want to work with Mick Jagger." Cox couldn't believe it. The role was for a weathered 60-year-old Los Angeles repo man. This was not a part for a rock star. They ignored the agent and went directly to Stanton. Stanton was, according to McCarthy, at the very bottom rung of what Universal would accept. But he got the part, one of only 2 lead roles in his entire career. The other was Paris, Texas, released the same year. For the role of Otto, the young punk protagonist, they wanted Emilio Estevez. But his agent and manager refused to even show him the script. They wanted him to avoid what they called small films. The solution came through a UCLA connection, someone who worked as a babysitter for the Sheen family. She smuggled the script to Estevez directly. His reaction, according to a 1985 interview, "I was falling on my ass laughing. The script was just hysterical. I said I had to do this picture." To save money, the production only budgeted for one single 1964 Chevy Malibu, the car at the center of the entire film. Since Cox didn't have his own vehicle, the transportation captain suggested he use the Malibu as his personal car. This solved 2 problems. The director had transportation, and they saved the cost of having someone watch the car overnight. On the 2nd or 3rd night of production, the Malibu was stolen, right from in front of the production office. They were already behind schedule. Now they had no car. Peter McCarthy later said that's when his hair started turning grey. The crew scrambled to find a replacement. They located another Malibu and dressed it to match the original. Then, a few days later, the police recovered the first car undamaged. So now they had 2 Malibus. Problem solved, right? Not quite. About a day after recovering the original car, actor Fox Harris, who plays the driver, J. Frank Parnell, accidentally ploughed one of the Malibus into a gas pump, severely denting it. If you watch the car wash scene carefully, you can see that one of the gas pumps is clearly damaged. That's the pump Fox hit. Here's another detail you might notice. The license plates don't match. In the opening scene, when the cop approaches the car, the plate reads K8B283. When the Malibu drives away, leaving the smoking boots behind, the plate reads 127 GBH. According to Cox's commentary, those takes were filmed months apart because of the stolen car situation. Oh, and one more thing. Fox Harris couldn't actually drive. The production had to use camera tricks and a stunt double for most of his scenes behind the wheel. Working with Harry Dean Stanton was not easy. Stanton was 58 years old. Cox was 29. The age gap created immediate tension. Stanton didn't want to learn his lines, similar to what Warren Oates had done on 2-Lane Blacktop. Cox had to invoke Screen Actors Guild rules to remind him that actors are contractually obligated to memorize their dialogue. The real explosion came during a fight scene with the Rodriguez brothers. Stanton wanted to use a real baseball bat. Cox refused. Cinematographer Robbie Mueller also wanted plastic bats for safety reasons. According to producer Jonathan Wax, what followed was a real fight. Stanton reportedly screamed, "I've worked with the greatest directors of all time. Francis Ford Coppola, Monty Hellman. You know why they're great? Because they let me do whatever the fuck I wanted." Cox wanted to fire him. He planned to rewrite the ending so that the final scenes would revolve around light, the character played by Cy Richardson. Nesmith vetoed the plan, but Cox still reduced Stanton's role in the finale, giving several scenes to Richardson instead. The irony is that despite all the conflict, Stanton delivered one of the defining performances of his career. Not everything that went wrong stayed wrong. Some of the film's most iconic elements came from necessity and chance. Take the generic products. Cox tried to get corporate sponsors. Nobody wanted to be associated with this strange movie. The only companies that said yes were Ralph's Supermarket and the Car Freshener Corporation.
Find one in every car. You'll see.
Ralph's donated generic products that were past their sell-by date. Plain white cans and boxes with black lettering. Food, beer, drink. These weren't invented for the film. They were real products sold in California supermarkets during the early 1980s. Because of inflation and economic anxiety, generic brands had become popular. What started as a fallback position became one of the film's sharpest pieces of satire. The Criterion Collection got in on the joke decades later. Their DVD release features a plain white label that just says disc. Then there's the glowing car. In the climax, the Malibu glows with an eerie green light. No CGI was involved. The crew coated the car with 3M reflective paint at a cost of approximately $600 per bucket and lit it with powerful lights. According to some accounts, the intensity of the glow wasn't entirely planned. When Cox saw the footage, he realized it worked better than expected and kept it. And for the car to fly, there was nothing elaborate about it. They literally lifted it with a crane. And the mysterious photograph of the aliens that Layla shows Otto? Those aren't elaborate props either. They're condoms filled with water, wearing grass skirts. The film was supposed to end differently. The original plan, the trunk contains an actual nuclear device. When it's opened, Los Angeles gets destroyed in a mushroom cloud. They were going to shoot it at a Minuteman missile silo or on a helicopter pad in the Santa Monica Mountains overlooking the ocean. On the night of the scheduled shoot, the fog was so thick the helicopter couldn't land. Cox, exhausted and frustrated, threw his hands up and said, according to Wax, "F it." Producer Jonathan Wax and on-set photographer Martin Turner went home and rewrote the ending. What they came up with was the transcendent, ambiguous finale we know today. The glowing Malibu lifting off into the sky, Otto inside, flying over Los Angeles. Actress Olivia Barash, who plays Layla, later said there were 3 different endings being considered. Cox wouldn't tell the cast which one they were shooting until they arrived on set. There's one more detail about that finale. Cox and casting director Victoria Thomas learned that Muhammad Ali was working out at Gold's Gym in Venice. Cox ran over and pitched him. Appear in the final scene alongside a bishop and a rabbi, trying to approach the glowing car. The power would be too great for any of them, even Ali. Ali listened politely. Then he said his new manager required $1 million for any appearance. If Cox could arrange that in the next 3 or 4 hours, he'd show up. Cox called Nesmith. He called Universal. And, well, I didn't see Ali in the scene. Universal released Repo Man in Chicago first. Jonathan Wax described the premiere bluntly. The first release was a disaster. Universal put it out in Chicago and nobody showed up. It was just pathetic. The studio pulled the film after 1 week. The producers hated Universal's marketing. They took about 100 of the studio's posters, spray-painted their own design over them, and pasted them up around Los Angeles themselves before the local opening. At the Chicago screening, some cast members, like Del Zamora, were in the audience. They got interviewed for Siskel and Ebert, without the interviewers knowing who they were. Zamora later joked, "We gave it 8 thumbs up." Universal wanted to dump the film on VHS and move on. But something strange was happening. The soundtrack was selling. And for that, we have to thank the godfather of punk, Iggy Pop. During production, Alex Cox desperately wanted Iggy to write the title theme, but didn't know how to find him. Olivia Barish spoke up. "He's my neighbour." They literally walked up to the building, rang the intercom, and Iggy Pop answered.
At the time, I'd had a hiccup in my career due to my wild lifestyle. And I was living in an unfurnished efficiency apartment in Hollywood.
He wrote the title track channeling the energy of old biker movies, and it became the anthem the film needed. That anthem saved the movie. MCA Records had created a label called San Andreas Records, specifically for the soundtrack. Peter McCarthy later learned why. San Andreas is the fault line that runs through California. They thought the album would be a disaster. It wasn't. 6 months after pulling the film from theatres, Universal was informed that the soundtrack, fueled by Iggy Pop, Black Flag and the Circle Jerks, had sold over 50,000 copies. The head of MCA Records called Universal and demanded to know, where's the film that goes with this album? Repo Man got a second chance. It started playing in art houses and never stopped. It ran at the New Art Theatre in Los Angeles for 2 years. The VHS release and late-night cable broadcasts built the cult following. Dick Rude compared it to a comet. The people who saw the comet wouldn't shut up about it. And that brings us to the golden flicker moment. When the film needed to be edited for television broadcast, Cox supervised the process himself. Instead of standard dubbing, he created deliberately absurd substitutions for the profanity.
Flip you. You want to make $10? Shove off, perverts. Oh, shoot! Forgot all about her. Come on, dumbhead.
Watch it, Melon Farmer. Laugh or face that face.
Flip you. See that Melon Farmer only thinks I don't know what's going on, like. Flip you, play.
Ow! Ow! Don't you say flip you to me. Don't you know who I am?
Oh, damn. Holy smoke!
John Wayne was a freak.
What'd you say, Melissa?
Flip this. Let's go do some crimes.
Okay, boys, we got the whole team here tonight. Let's settle these Melon Farmers' ass to good. So you can get the flipping $20,000 for the Malibu.
Make it a flipping month.
Yeah, we'll flip you!
Drop it, Melon Farmer.
Holy sheep dip.
Well, that.
You nerd!
The TV version includes alternate footage and deleted scenes to make up for the cuts. It became its own cult object. So much so that a British website about film censorship named itself melonfarmers.co.uk in tribute. The Criterion release includes the complete TV version as a special feature. Repo Man is packed with references that reward repeat viewing. The religious cult in the film Diuretics is a parody of Scientology's Dianetics. The scrambled phone call that J. Frank Parnell makes, if you play it backwards, it's someone reciting Lewis Carroll's Jabberwocky. The hospital PA system pages Dr. Benway,
to surgery.
a recurring character from William S. Burroughs' Naked Lunch. The production company name, Edge City, comes from Tom Wolfe's The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. The Repo Men are all named after beer brands: Bud, Miller, Light. Otto's name is a pun. It sounds like auto.
Yeah, it's Otto.
Auto parts.
And the opening credits map shows a real geographic route. The Malibu travels from Los Alamos, New Mexico, site of an actual government weapons lab, through Highway 666 into Los Angeles. Jimmy Buffett appears as a CIA agent. Cox says he just showed up on set one day, so they put him in a suit. Michael Nesmith appears twice, once in an Art Remnants TV commercial visible in the Repo office, and possibly as the rabbi in the finale. Roger Ebert gave the film 3 out of 4 stars. His review noted that it comes out of left field, has no big stars, didn't cost much, takes chances, dares to be unconventional, is funny, and works. He added, "There is a lesson here." Repo Man currently holds a 93% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Entertainment Weekly ranked it number 7 on their list of the top 50 cult films of all time. But the numbers don't capture the film's radioactive half-life. Its DNA is everywhere. That glowing briefcase in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction? It owes a serious debt to the glowing trunk of the Malibu. I know. Film historians will tell you both are nodding to the 1955 noir classic Kiss Me Deadly. The character of Kevin the Nerd is widely considered the spiritual ancestor of Napoleon Dynamite. Alex Cox never quite let this world go either. In the 90s, he wrote a sequel called Waldo's Hawaiian Holiday. Emilio Estevez read it, said it made no sense, and refused to do it. It eventually became a graphic novel. Cox even returned to the universe in 2009 with Repo Chick, a surreal spiritual sequel shot entirely on green screen. Nothing beats the original chaos. Those smoking boots at the beginning of the film are still standing, just like Repo Man itself. If you discovered something new today, illuminate our day by clicking like and subscribe to Golden Flicker, so you never miss a story from the annals of cinema history. Which film should we explore next? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.